Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 83rd part of What If Deku Had a Robot Wolf. I hope you enjoy. Link to the original story and author in the description. Chapter 83, Friendship Broken. Well, that could have gone better, Durandal said as he, Izumi and Achiko headed back to their dorm. Izumi was wearing a dark green dress whilst Achiko was wearing a pink one. Yeah, Achiko said with a sigh. Again, I am so sorry about how badly our date went. It's fine, Izumi smiled. Villain attacks are always inconvenient. I would have preferred if we didn't have our date ruined by a villain attack, Achiko said. Bloody villains. Why do they have to ruin everyone's day? Their date had kind of gone well, to begin with. Achiko wanted to bring Izumi to a museum that had a special exhibit on hero costumes. Unfortunately, a villain attack had caused the entire museum to close, preventing them from visiting it. And she didn't have a backup plan. Thankfully Izumi came to the rescue and suggested that they go watch a movie instead. It was better than nothing, so off they went. Unfortunately, there weren't any good movies in the theaters. Well, not good in Achiko's mind anyway, and Izumi was inclined to believe her. There was also one bad movie in Izumi's mind, and that one was avoided like the plague. At least the movie they ended up watching was goodish. Good compared to the others, that it. Well, we are learning how to stop them, Izumi said. Yeah, I know, Achiko said with a sigh. Still, I would have enjoyed looking around the exhibit with you. It looks so interesting. We can always go another time, Izumi said. The exhibit's there for a good few months, so we have time to see it again. I know, Achiko said. I just wished it went better. Your date was fantastic, but mine was terrible. It wasn't that bad, Izumi said. After all, I got to spend some time with you, she said, a slight blush on her face. A similar blush appeared on Achiko's face. Thanks, she said as she brushed her hair. It was then Izumi noticed the bracelet on Achiko's wrist. Hey, what's that bracelet? Oh, this, Achiko said as she brushed her hand over the dust projector. It's an Imperial dust projector. It uses nanotech to make all kinds of psionic weapons for me to use. But I can't use them for hero work. Psionic weapons are lethal. Then, why were you given one? Izumi asked. Just in case I have to fight another member of my kind, like a heretic, Achiko replied. Psionic weapons are the only way to fight someone like me effectively. Hopefully I won't have to use it. Izumi nodded. I hope so too, she said as they stepped into the 1A dorm. And Freddy Fazbear has just United States of smashed Vegeta into Gallifrey. He is gone, his files have been deleted from the game. He is no longer playable in this tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, Denki shouted like a WWE commentator. Alright. Either someone was playing a modded fighting game, or there was some interdimensional fuckery going on. Knowing her class, it was probably the latter. The three of them headed to the living room and saw most of the class gathered around the TV, watching as Hanta and Ijiro played a heavily modded fighting game. If Freddy Fazbear smashing Mega Man in the face was anything to go by. What on earth are you guys playing? Izumi asked as they walked over. Oh, hey Izumi, Hitoshi said. We're just playing a heavily modded version of Ultimate Hero Fighter vs. Dragon Ball Z. Who knew there was a hero fighting game that crossed over with one of the longest-running franchises ever, Mina remarked. Oh, Izumi said, sounding slightly disappointed at the fact that some interdimensional fuckery was not going on. Then she realized what game they were playing. Oh yes, the Ultimate Hero Fighter franchise. It was one of the best hero fighting games out there, having famous heroes from all over the world fighting each other. Ultimate Hero Fighter vs. Dragon Ball Z is arguably the best game in the franchise. And the last good game in the franchise, she muttered, her eyes twitching slightly. Everyone looked at Izumi with worried looks on their faces as an angry aura emanated from the green-haired girl. Okay? Inasa said nervously. Don't ask unless you want to hear a half-hour rant on how bad the past 5 games in the franchise were, Hitoshi said. Oh yeah, the last few games in the Ultimate Hero Fighter franchise were poorly received, Minoru remarked. Didn't they get into trouble for censoring several hero costumes? Oh, you don't know the half of it, Izumi muttered. Oh no, Hitoshi sighed as he lowered his head. Now they've done it. Half an hour later. And then they locked all the popular heroes behind overpriced paywalls and nerfed them all, meaning you're better off using the base characters over them, Izumi said, just finishing her half-hour rant on the downfall of the Ultimate Hero Fighter franchise. From questionable gameplay choices, predatory microtransactions with more than half of the roster locked behind a paywall, clunky controls, unpolished gameplay, and to top it all off, they nerfed All Might into the ground and made him unfun to play. She was not a happy bunny. Not happy one bit. The others were barely paying attention to Izumi's rant and were instead focusing on the game. Switching out players whenever a match was over. Some were paying attention to parts of it, but not all of it. Did anyone understand that? Kyoka asked. No, Rikido replied. But I guess that she really doesn't like the recent Ultimate Hero Fighter games. Indeed she does not, Hitoshi remarked. Wow. And here I thought your quirk analysis rants were scary, Ochoko remarked. They're not scary, Izumi said before she noticed that Ochoko was not wearing something more casual. Wait, when did you get changed? Half an hour ago, Ochoko replied. You talked about why you hated the recent Ultimate Hero Fighter franchise for half an hour. Izumi blinked. I did. Oops. Sorry about that, I must have gotten carried away. I'll just get changed, she said before she got up and rushed upstairs to get changed into something more comfortable and casual. Okay, I'm back. Now, what dash? What on earth have you done to the characters? She asked, only just noticing that the characters didn't look the way they were supposed to look. Modded them to look different, Denki replied. This is my copy of the game after all. And you modded Freddy Fazbear as All Might? Izumi muttered. Yes, Denki replied. I do not know why. Izumi blinked. There was no way she could forgive Denki for this grievous sin he had committed. All Might, as Freddy Fazbear. This was heresy. What else have you done to this game? Izumi asked as she looked through all the characters. Wait, why is Dr. Eggman here? Oh, that's Paxton. I almost forgot he was in this game. Why did you mod Paxton into Dr. Eggman? I know it fits, but still, why? I don't know, Denki replied. I just installed a mod called Phil's UHFVDBZ improvement mod. I didn't know that said improvements included changing everyone's skins. Izumi sighed. This is why she hated mods. She then noticed that, out of the large roster of characters, several were still locked, including one in particular. You don't have Platinum All Might unlocked? She asked, looking shocked. Izumi, he's the hardest character to unlock in the game, Nito remarked. You have to beat the hardest difficulty in the game, which requires beating the second hardest difficulty in the game to unlock it. Which in turn requires beating the game once. And that's just to unlock the raid where you fight him. Are you sure about that? Izumi asked. It only took me about 2 or 3 attempts to unlock him. It's quite easy really. Oh yeah, I forgot, Izumi's a god at hero fighting games as well, Hitoshi said. Don't challenge her to any Ultimate Hero Fighter game before Ultimate Hero Fighter 17. And if you do, don't let her pick All Might. Trust us, we have first-hand experience, Nito added. Several of their classmates nodded. Looked like if they ever got into an inter-class fighting game tournament, Izumi would be their champion. I'm sorry, Platinum All Might? Toru asked, just remembering that was a character in this game. Think All Might, but Super Saiyan, Izumi replied. Yes, the game really went there. The story is insane with Paxton coming back from the dead and teaming up with several DBZ villains to make an army of androids that can emulate quirks, she said before she realized what she was saying. Paxton, making robots that can emulate quirks. How the fuck did a video game predict that? All eyes slowly turned towards Durandal. Whilst they hadn't talked about it yet, they still remembered what that thing had said about Durandal. He was made by Paxton and had a device that allowed him to emulate quirks. To be fair, DBZ androids are fucking powerful, and the idea of a robot emulating a quirk is so out there that such a thing could only come from a franchise as insane as DBZ. And that wasn't the most insane thing to come out of that game. Like, who thought a fusion between All Might and Goku was a sane thing to do? I am so glad that the Dragon Balls are not real, Durandal remarked. That way I don't have to see that bastard's face again. To be fair, even if they did exist, we'd probably never get any of them, Mina said, who was one of the few people in the class who understood the DBZ franchise, and was dressed up as Android 21 for some reason. They are scattered all over the universe after all. Finding them all on one planet is impossible. Mina, Achiko said. Why are you dressed up as Android 21? Yeah, I've been wondering that as well, Toru said. It's my Halloween costume, Mina replied with a shrug. When I heard that you guys were playing a DBZ game, I decided to wear it to fit in. Look, we both have pink skin, and there are too few fictional characters out there who are both female and have skin as pink as mine. Makes cosplaying as people quite difficult, she said. So anyway, Izumi, Achiko, how did your date go? Badly, Achiko admitted. The original place we wanted to go to was closed due to a villain attack, and our backup option of watching a movie wasn't great as there weren't any good movies to watch at the cinema. It wasn't that bad, Izumi said. Achiko and Durandal glared at her. Izumi sighed. Alright, I admit, the film was bad. But it was better than all the others. One of them was an All Might movie, Durandal said. Wait, Izumi refused to watch a movie about All Might? Sue said. What is T-? All Might vs Blood Might 2, Dimensional Shift is utter garbage and you cannot tell me otherwise. Izumi uncharacteristically fumed. Everyone was taken aback by Izumi's sudden outburst. The all-loving cinnamon roll actually hated something All Might related. This was almost absurd. Okay, so there are bad movies about All Might out there, Minoru said. Oh, I would rant on about why that movie was bad for hours. Izumi fumed. But after my last one, I don't want to bore you all. So, I'll just give you 3 reasons why it's bad. 1. They tried to have a romantic subplot between All Might and a female version of himself. All Might, in love with a female version of himself. What kind of fanfic crack were they on when they came up with that? The actress they got to play her wasn't even that good. Okay, so, I have to agree with Izumi here. Femmite is not good, Minoru said, looking at his phone. Good lord, that looks CGI'd as fuck. Denki remarked, looking at Minoru's phone. How the fuck is anyone supposed to find that attractive? Should have gone with someone as close to Star and Stripe, not, whatever that is, Minoru said. 2. They ruined Blood Might. Izumi continued. In the first movie, he was an intelligent brawler, always using All Might's image as the perfect hero against him. In the sequel, however, they stripped all that made him a good villain away in favor of a generic bad guy who just wanted to murder everyone in the bloodiest way possible. If it was a different version of Blood Might, then I would understand. But it's strictly stated that this is the same Blood Might from the first movie. And 3, the most grievous sin of them all, they made All Might so weak. There were 12 different versions of All Might in that movie, and all but 2 of them went down like they were common street thugs. This is All Might we're talking about here. The man who can tank almost anything. He shouldn't be getting turned into a red mist from a slap to the face, or getting crushed to death by a small building. Izumi breathed deeply as she finished her rant. She may be an All Might fan, but there were just pieces of All Might media and merch that were just so bad that not even she was willing to get them. Of course, she opted to not mention that the only good thing to come out of that movie was the female Blood Might. She was, by far, the only good character in that entire movie. Mostly because she didn't say anything, and only had about 10 minutes of screen time before being unceremoniously crushed by the aforementioned small building. That pissed off quite a lot of people, herself included, for a few reasons. And not because she was hot. Anyone who said otherwise was lying. Again, this is All Might. Even an alternate version of him should be able to survive that. She had seen him survive getting hit by a skyscraper-sized block of steel and not flinch. Okay, so that was back in his prime before he got injured. But still, they shouldn't have made the other versions of All Might go down that easily. When she went pro, she was going to make damn well sure that no one made any bad official movies about her and Achiko. Or any adult movies, as that class taught them that there were plenty of hero-themed adult movies out there, especially ones about popular pro heroes. And let's not get started on fan art and fan fiction. If you think the stuff Momo wrote was as bad, just wait till you get to the more dedicated and horny fans. Or the shippers. She really hated the shippers. Not only did they ship real people, but some of them made really questionable, and sometimes annoyingly popular, ships. Ships such as All Might and Endeavor, Don't Ask, Blitz and Thor, Seriously, Don't Ask, and so many others. And it wasn't even limited to the pros. They weren't safe either. Not counting Momo and her ex-spies, there were plenty of fanfics and art of them, as well as ships. Like Ijiro and that Tetsu kid, which is strangely canon, Chiharu and Mina, probably because they both have odd skin colors, and the most horrifying of them all, Katsuki and herself. She felt sick the moment she saw the Yusako/King explosion tag. Why was that even a tag? She never even fought him during the festival. She was suddenly brought back to reality by someone poking her shoulder. "You okay there, Izumi?" Achiko asked. "Yeah, I'm fine," Izumi replied, looking nervous. "Did I miss anything?" "No," Achiko said nervously. "But, I think you've been muttering out loud again. If that low rant about All Might movies and questionable fanfiction ships is anything to go by. Why would a Yusako/King explosion tag make you feel sick?" Mina asked. Izumi blinked a few times before she leaned back and looked straight up. "If you Teaching her swear words was a mistake, Durandal remarked, to which Achiko nodded in agreement. The rest of the day went a bit better. They mostly played UHFVDBZ, having their own mini-tournament. But, whilst it was fun, it could only keep them all entertained for so long. Unfortunately, keep them all entertained for so long turned out to never come. So they eventually stopped so they could do other things, lest they get distracted and keep playing until 6 in the morning. Which would be bad, as they had classes in the morning. So whilst everyone either prepared dinner or caught up with schoolwork, Izumi got to work on her hero analysis. "Hey, Izumi," Hitoshi, Nito said as he walked up beside her. "Can I have a quick word with you too?" "Sure," Izumi said before she, Hitoshi, and Durandal followed him upstairs to the room of secrets. Once there, they all sat down. "This is about you despising Izumi, isn't it?" Hitoshi asked. Nito sighed as he picked up the talking plush. "Yes, but I don't despise you, Izumi. I'm just a bit annoyed by it." "Annoyed?" Izumi said with a scowl. "You're annoyed that I got a quirk?" "Nito, getting a quirk is something I've always wanted, but never could get because of a stupid toe joint. I thought you would have been happy that I had gotten a quirk. I finally had a power to call my own." "And I was, up until we met Sir Night Eye and you said he trained you," Nito said. "There we were, all working together to get into UA, and then you suddenly revealed that you were being taught by a pro hero, probably too considering who your quirk used to belong to. And it felt unfair. And when you revealed this new power of yours that I did not detect previously and could not copy, I got annoyed, maybe a bit angry. I was able to hide it, but I still felt betrayed by you for getting outside help whilst we didn't." "Well, Hitoshi muttered. "I may have received some training from Eraserhead before entering UA." "You were trained by Eraserhead?" Both Izumi and Nito asked loudly. "I wouldn't call it training," Hitoshi relied. "More like learning how not to accidentally strangle myself. Once he was sure that I wasn't going to accidentally kill myself, he cut all contact with me and left me a note that just said, 'Get into UA.' I guess he didn't want to waste time training someone that wasn't in the school yet." "That's a logical thing to do," Durandal said. "You weren't a UA student at the time. As you said, he only trained you just so you didn't strangle yourself with a mock capture weapon. As for Izumi's training, that was to help turn her from a twig to something that can withstand the power of the thing. And also learn how to fight. The thing? Hitoshi asked, looking confused. The thing, Izumi replied calmly. That's what we called the quirk when we were out and about. Didn't want just anyone to find out about it. But why didn't you tell us? Nito asked. Because I wanted to protect you, Izumi replied. You're my friends, the first friends I ever had. I would never abandon you guys. But, this thing is big. Bigger than me. It's an ancient secret since the dawn of quirks that comes with its own danger. A villain, one so powerful that All Might almost died fighting him. The less people know about this the better. I thought the less who knew about it the safer you all would be. But now, after that thing decided to blurt out everything I've tried to keep secret, all of you are in danger. People have died just because they knew the thing's name. I just wanted to keep you safe. And for good reason, Durandal thought. All for One had probably killed hundreds of people over the past 2 centuries over One for All. Izumi didn't want her classmates to be put into the crossfire. Unfortunately, that heretic had put a target on every member of the class just by telling them that Izumi had been given All Might's quirk, One for All. Are you going to tell us about the thing? Hitoshi asked with a frown. No, not yet, Izumi said, shaking her head. We've still got the license exam to worry about. I don't want to give everyone something else to worry about, so I'll wait till after the exam to tell everyone. At least you're going to tell us, Nito said with a scowl. Hey, be a little bit more considerate, Durandal said. Need I remind you that this is only a glimpse at the shit she's been through? Oh, I think I have an idea, Nito spat, not noticing the worried look on Hitoshi's face. My quirk only works when I touch someone else. I've been effectively quirkless most of my life, so I have an idea what it's like to be quirkless. You have an idea. You have an idea. You have no idea what it's like to be quirkless. Izumi growled. Your quirk may only work when you touch someone else, but you still have a quirk. A powerful one too. You can copy anyone's quirk. And before you say you were bullied because of it, a little light teasing was the worst you ever got. I, on the other hand, got far worse. You were never told how useless and pathetic you were. You were never constantly shown your place in society by having people use their quirks on you. You were never rejected by every boy you asked out for being a quirkless freak. Why you were never told to take a swan dive off a roof and pray for a quirk in my next life. She cried before she broke down into tears. Durandal quickly passed Izumi her Durandal plush, which she hugged tightly. A horrified look appeared on Nito's face. He didn't expect or want Izumi to cry. She was his friend after all. He knew bits of what happened to her from her muttering, but he didn't think it was this bad. I think you should leave, Hitoshi said with a scowl. Nito nodded. Yeah, I think I should, he said before he turned and left the room. Hitoshi watched him leave. Once he was gone, he walked over to Izumi. Don't be mad at Nito, Izumi sniffled. He's right to be angry. Not when you were keeping a literal government-level secret hidden, Hitoshi retorted. You had good reason to keep the thing hidden from us. By the sounds of it, this is a powerful thing you've been given, one with its own nemesis. Honestly, I'm really wishing that I didn't find out about this One for All thing. Izumi just nodded, tears slowly falling from her eyes. She didn't want this. She didn't want to lose one of her friends over One for All. Unfortunately, by the looks of it, she already has. Nito frowned as he entered his room. He fucked up big time, didn't he? This was not how he planned this to go. He had hoped that this would have been a simple affair, just tell her why he disliked her, get told off a bit and apologize. He didn't mean to snap like that and cause this to happen. Especially that last part, the swan dive thing. Dear God, who the fuck told her to do that, and are they still alive? Because he would like to have a word with them. preferably after copying Momo's quirk and making a shotgun. What was he even thinking? Of course he didn't know what it's like to be quirkless, he had a quirk for crying out loud. Izumi only had hers since the start of school. There was no comparison there. Weak or villainous quirk, it doesn't compare to being quirkless. He sighed as he laid back on his bed. She was not going to forgive him for this for a while. He wouldn't forgive himself for this. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 84. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.